Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. Let's break down and talk about what happened yesterday with the CR and what's going on still now today. As recording this is Friday evening, so there was this new CR, this is the third one so far in the last couple of days, to get proposed and pushed. It finally got passed. I believe it only failed by it passed, but I believe only 37 people didn't vote for it this time or something like that. A lot of Democrats voted for this also. That's how it was able to be passed, which should start making you concerned about if the Democrats and the Republicans both voted for it at the same time, is it really all that it's cracked up to be? Let's start with the original one. The original CR was 1,547 pages long. Come on now. That's ridiculous. Nobody can read all of that. And there was just so much fat in there, so many extra bills and pet projects and everything. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was something that was concocted together by Mike Johnson, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, all behind closed doors. Okay. This is how they're doing our nation. So the public caught wind of that when they proposed this and pushed it to the floor. And there were people that were like, absolutely not. There's no way I could vote for this. This is absolutely wrong. It's far too long. It's the last minutes before vacation and nobody's got any time to read a 1,500-page bill when it has to be voted on in 3 days. That's crazy because the bill came out, I want to say it was Tuesday or whatever, it might have been Monday, but then it had to be voted on by yesterday. It's crazy. It's crazy. So they chalked all of this stuff in the original bill. Nobody that was really a good, strong Republican wanted that in the real world, right? Like not Congress, because clearly they decided that in the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson and Nancy Pelosi and them, they decided that that was something that would be good. That's not what the American people want, though. They want something that's slim and trim. You know what I'm saying? They want something that looks like a nice fitness model. Real cut, real trim, okay? Not something that looks like something that can be in the cow or pig competition at a frickin' fair, at a county fair. Come on now. Now, the next bill that they brought out was less pages, but still full of all types of crazy stuff. Funding for submarines, stadium in Washington, D.C. I think it was a football stadium. It's insane. Like, who needs to be spending on these things? What's that got to do with the budget? Then on top of that, it had stuff that it should have been broken down into. We don't want, as Americans, especially fiscal conservatives or even most Republicans, don't want these bills that are so long. They're huge. We want bills that are legit, that are broken down into different parts that are manageable for us to read and that actually say what they're about. They're not just given all these fluffy, floofy names that sound good, like they always try to do and play in our face, and then the bill has nothing to do with whatever they're talking about. So the CR wasn't broken down at all. So it had a whole bunch of extra stuff into it. Then 38 of the Republicans voted against the second CR. And I was like, absolutely. I'm glad that you did that. But some people on the internet got mad and they were like, oh, well, you're trying to stand against Trump. Excuse me? They're doing what's right. What do you mean standing against Trump? What's Trump got to do with this CR? Nothing. You think he read the new CR? Are you serious? You think he wrote the new CR? Absolutely not. Don't be silly. Don't play in my face. You know what they say? Don't take a piss and tell me it's raining. So we had these characters on the internet, people like Laura Loomer, Nick Sorter, or whatever, however you say his name, and Officer Lou, and all these other ridiculous people talking about that, oh, well, these are people that are going against Trump's agenda and they should all be primary, this, that, and stuff like that. Let me tell you some of the names of these people, okay? And you tell me about these people that are good, strong conservatives, many of them very ardent and hard Trump supporters. Let me go through a list of a couple of names. Andy Biggs, Okay, Tim Burchett. Okay, love Tim. He's really good. Okay, how do you say her name? Kamek. Ooh, Kamak. Kat Kamak. Love her. She's great too. Eli Craig. Okay, then you got other people that you might know their name or you might not. Like, who's a good person? Wesley Hunt. Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace? Y'all talking about somebody should primary and get rid of Nancy Mace? Is because they're going against Trump? As strong as a Trump supporter Nancy Mace is? As strong as a Trump supporter Wesley Hunt is? Are you kidding? Wesley Hunt? Nancy Mace? Y'all talking about they ain't no good and they going against Trump? Are you daft? Who are you crazy people on the internet propagating this dissension and this separatism in the Republican core? Why would you do something like that? Thomas Massie, okay, he's a great conservative as well. So these are people that are really good and really true. Then you got people like, what's his name? Scott Perry. Scott Perry is good too. He used to be, Brigadier General in the Army National Guard. Like, are we being serious here? Thomas Massie and Nancy Mace were some of the ones who made public statements about it. I think Tim Bouchard, or however you say his name is, he made a couple statements about it too. But Thomas Massie was like, listen, I'm not with it because it should be broken down. Well, let me tell you two things. Over the last 2 years, we are 2 years behind on passing an actual budget for our nation. Imagine that. Our country has been functioning without an actual budget for 2 years. Could you imagine? So all we've seen is continuing resolution after continuing resolution after continuing resolution. Now let's put credit where credit's due. The large portion of this time, the Democrats have been in charge as the can has continued to be kicked down the road. But the Republicans have taken charge now, and the Republicans have been saying for the last 2 years, we're not going to vote on a new CR. We're not going to vote to increase the debt limit. We're not the debt limit, debt ceiling, same difference. We're not going to vote to do any of that. Well, here they are saying we're not going to do exactly what we said we're not going to do this whole time. And people are on the internet ragging them and dragging them, talking about we're going to primary them and all of this nonsense. Are you serious? You being for real? So this is something that should be alarming all true Republicans, all fiscal conservatives, and anybody that really truly does support an America First agenda or make America great again. Because the fact of the matter is, if these people are willing to so-called throw the baby out with the bathwater, there is a very serious problem. This type of division and stuff is stuff that we've seen pushed by the left, claimed by the Democrats, that is exactly the way that these so-called, I don't know who these random people on the internet are that are pushing this nonsense, are supposed to be some sort of type of Republicans or internet personalities that represent more conservative. I don't know exactly who they are, right? Random people on the internet as far as I'm concerned, but they're influencers, okay? I don't know what they really stand for. I just know they run their mouth all the time. Sometimes I like what they say. I'm not liking the direction that they're going. Plus, they're all singing the same thing. Like, have you seen those videos where the TV says, they've got like 20 different TV stations and all the TV stations are saying the same thing? They legitimately just copied and pasted, all of these people need to be primary. They copied and pasted it. What are you doing? What are you doing? For real, that's a real question. What are they doing? So, when I see that, it concerns me. Because I've seen that happen over the last couple of years with Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't running the government. Other people are his lip mouthpieces talking about, oh, this is what Joe Biden wants. This is what he wants. This is what he wants. And it concerns me, and I don't want it to go that way with Trump. I don't. I want Trump to do what Trump's gonna do, which we as the people elected him to do. Okay? I don't want these so-called people who think that they're his surrogates to get out here and say all types of crazy stuff that pulls apart the Republican and conservative people. Okay? And it's really divisionistic, and it's concerning. because we've seen this happen before in other autocratic governments across the world, where they'll say, oh, well, the ruler wants this is what the ruler wants, and I speak for the ruler. In the meantime, the person that's the head, that's the ruler, don't know what's going on. They don't even know that they're doing this, and they're just saying that it's in their own, that's what the ruler wants. So we got to be very alert to those type of things, because I saw Steve Bannon at AmFest yesterday talking about the same exact thing that Thomas Massey was saying, the same exact thing Nancy Mason Wesley Hunt was saying, the same thing that Tim Burchett was saying, or however you say his name. But he was saying the same things. He was saying we shouldn't have these fat, bloated pork spending bills. They need to be broken up into different sections, okay? And that we need to be very concerned about the debt ceiling and how we're managing our debt, and we need to cut spending. That's Trump's number one man, right? That's the guy who they said was really running the Trump presidency last time. They're like, it's really President Bannon. It's not President Trump, it's President Bannon. That's what they were saying. Now they're saying the same thing about Elon Musk. Psst, get out of here with that nonsense. But this is the stuff that we're seeing and we're experiencing right now. And Bannon is saying that, but these people on the internet are saying something different completely. So I think that I trust the best interest of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, with Steve Bannon compared to these random randos on the internet. It's crazy to me. Now, let's get back in the bill, because we're going to come back to this, because this is highly concerning. Now, let's get back to these CRs. 2 years we haven't had a actual bill, right? Like a budget. The CRs are nonsense. They're not real things. They're just add-ons to keep continuing the budget forward that we had previously. This is going on for, honestly, we might be in like 3 or 4 years, and come to think of it. But they've just been pushing continuing resolution. The actual budget is supposed to be done the first Monday of February to April 15th, okay? Which is 5 months and some change before October 1st, which is the new fiscal year, the first quarter of the fiscal year. So that first quarter of the fiscal year, October 1st, has come and gone multiple times since the budget was supposed to be done. Where's the actual budget? The American people want a cohesive budget. We don't want the can to be kicked down the line. We don't want to keep the spending high. Do you guys know that they're still spending at pre-pandemic levels? At post-pandemic levels? Like what it was we were spending in 2019 when it ballooned up in 2020 because of the pandemic and all this extra money we needed that went into really big businesses and people's cousins' pocketbooks and stuff like that, but we're not going to talk about that. We're still spending at that rate, like it's the pandemic still. But where's all that money going? Nobody knows it's going in your pocket. Probably not. You know, that's something that's very important. We need to go back down to pre-pandemic spending. That's what many of the people that voted no on the second bill said. This is serious, you guys. If we keep spending the way that we're spending, you've got offices like the Government Accountability Office that says that they don't think that the way that the budget is being done is right, and they can't really account for the actual spending that's being done in the government. They can't really pass an audit. That's crazy to me. That's your tax money. That's my tax money. That's the American people's money. The CBO, the Central Budget Office, both GAO and the CBO are agencies in the government that really do good business, supposed to be at least, but they really do good business. They're the nonpartisan committees, well, not committees, but agencies inside the government. The CBO is the Central Budget Office. What they do is when they get a bill from Congress and the House of Representatives or the Senate or the Democrats in there or the Republicans in there, they say, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. CBO comes back, no, that ain't it. That's not how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost this much. That's what the CBO does all the time. Okay, that's their job. And the CBO is like, listen, by 2034, our cost on the actual debt is going to be like 116% of what we take in every year in GDP. So that's crazy. So if we're not taking in enough taxes to pay the money for the interest, what happens? We default, right? Now let me tell you something about that. When it comes to all of the money that we owe other countries, I think it's something like 21% of the debt of the US is owned by the US government, and like the rest of it is owned by private institutions and private individuals, okay, which also should be concerning. Many are foreign countries, but that should also be concerning. Now, when it comes to that, every time they raise the debt ceiling, that means that there's more money, more money, more money. They raise the debt ceiling, more money, more money, more money. The higher the debt ceiling goes, the less your money is worth, okay? Just think about that. So every time the debt ceiling goes up, the lower your money is worth. That's how that works. Now, it's simple, right? Because that means the more money that they cash out, it's taking value away from your dollar that is right now. Because it's going to now be owed to more people. So it's like your dollar's getting cut in pieces. Every time they make more dollars, your dollar's getting cut in pieces, more and more and more and more. At first, I thought that the dollar was worth 10 cents compared to what it was worth before they started the Federal Reserve and during World War I and stuff like that. I went in and I looked at it the other day. It said it's actually only worth 3 cents. So the dollar that used to be worth one whole dollar is now worth only 3 cents. You make that make sense to me. How far we have fallen. We need to go back to the gold standard if you ask me, but that's a whole nother conversation. And end the Fed. Y'all know how I feel about ending the Federal Reserve, but that's a whole other conversation, which does go into the interest rates and the stuff that we're paying on the debt that we owe, because the interest rates aren't going down on the debt that we owe, so that means that we owe more money. Like I said, in another 5 to 10 years, we won't be able to pay off the interest on the debt that we owe at the rate that we're spending. Now, these CRs, these continuing resolutions, they don't cut the spending. As a matter of fact, even the new one that just passed, that went down to like 118 pages or something like that, from 1,500 or whatever it is now. I don't know, but it was like 118 or whatever it is now. And it's a lot less pages, but the spending really hasn't changed that much. So the debt ceiling still is getting increased. The money that's being spent is still the same level of money that's being spent. There are no cuts, no reductions, no nothing in this new bill. And that's a very serious thing. And when we're talking about money that needs to be paid and interest that's owed and stuff like that, there are these things that are called mandatory spending and future liabilities. Things like that are things like Social Security and Medicaid and stuff like that you pay into, that the government owes you, that they're supposed to pay you. That's your money. But they ain't got your money. Now imagine you loan your money to somebody and you say, okay, hi, I need my money and my interest. They ain't got your money. How you gonna feel? Right? You understand what I'm saying? So that's what's going on right now, especially if we look at Social Security. The Social Security Trust is essentially where the money for Social Security comes from, right? You pay into the Social Security Trust every time you get your paycheck, you see the money go out. That's where it goes. Now, the Social Security Trust, you can think of that as like a sovereign wealth fund or like a retirement fund, like an IRA or a 401k or something like that. So that's what that is. But do you know that during Obama's administration, that was the first time that they started to raid the Social Security Trust? So they've been taking the money from the trust to spend on other things. Now think about this. This is like a interest garnering account. So if you the more money you take out of it, the less interest it's gaining, which means the less money that you're going to have long term. So that's just basic, easy knowledge. Like that's not something that's hard to comprehend for the everyday person, but people don't talk about that. Just last year, they took a whole bunch of money from Social Security Trust last year, and they don't have enough to pay it back. Make it make sense. And they did it. They did an extension. The Biden administration, Harris did an extension, okay, for it. And they got sued for doing the extension to pay for what they're supposed to actually have in the accounts, because they only extended it through the end of the election cycle. So they got charged with a violation of the Hatch Act because they're saying that it only benefited them, which it did. You know what I'm saying? Politically, that was a politically expedient thing. But most Americans don't even know that. That might even be news to you, hearing that just for the first time right now. So they don't got your money, people. Where's your money? And this is going to continue to go on. Guess what? Guess where they put your money that they took, that the Biden administration, Harris administration took your money. They took it and they put it into EV credits. Are you happy about that? EV credits. Do you drive an EV? Did you get credits for your EV? I don't have an EV. I didn't get any EV credits. And I know some of you got EV credits, but didn't know that it came from Social Security. So I know that many people aren't very happy now that you know that it came from, that the EV credits came from Social Security, when most of us don't have an EV. So where'd that money go? Why you can't put the money back? Oh, the money spent is out in the air. Mostly wealthy people are the ones who bought the EVs. So really you gave a whole bunch of wealthy people our Social Security money, Biden, our Social Security money, Harris. You gave a whole bunch of wealthy people our money, and we ain't got it for us. Come on now. And I'm in the younger generation, so I'm like, man, by the time I get there, they're gonna be like, we ain't got nothing for you, homie. Because they ain't got it now. This is crazy, people. So we can't continue to go this route. This is not good. Now, the way Thomas Massey cited that we should break up the current CR, he said that we should break it up into a CR itself, a clean CR. We should make one for the debt limit. We should make one for the farming. We should make one for the disaster relief. But they chopped it all in there together. And then the Democrats voted with the Republicans to pass it. You guys, they're bending us over. And then they're going to try to tell us that we should like it. Okay, well, but you didn't even give us any lube. Okay, y'all just went in there raw. Bent us over, went in there raw, didn't ask permission, didn't buy us any dinner, didn't give us a drink or nothing. Come on now. This is jacked up what we're doing in our government right now, what they're doing to us. The American people elected all of these Republicans and Trump to trim the government, to shrink it, to lower the expenditure, how much the government is spending, and to make sure that the investments that we're making in our nation are going to be able to be focused and growing and helping the everyday person. But if we can't even get a real budget on the books, that's a problem. And don't get me started on Mike Johnson. We need that guy from Canada. What's his name? The head of the Conservative Party up there, or whatever his party is. Pierre Poilievre. Okay, that dude is tops, man. He's really something else. Okay, he's what Mike Johnson should be. Okay, this is a problem. What we have. He's our speaker in the House. Like, we might need a whole nother speaker. And as we talk about these important things, we also talked about the Federal Reserve. I talked in another video previously, maybe about a week ago, about how the Swiss bank is actually lowering interest rates because they're predicting a global recession. So they're working to get ahead of that, to make sure that they have enough money and their economy is stable enough that they're not out on a limb if the rest of the world economy goes down. Now, the Swiss are the money people. Everybody knows that. If the money around the world looking funny, everybody runs to Switzerland to try to stack up their coins. So if the Swiss are saying that this is coming, and people like Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve aren't trying to cut our rates, and we as the American people are now going to owe more and more debt because they're raising the debt ceiling, that's going to hurt our currency. We talked about that. They need to cut rates. We need deflation. They're like, we can get inflation under control. I don't want inflation under control. I want deflation. Deflation. That's what we need. We need to increase the value of our dollar, but the only way we can do that is if we have deflation. They try to tell you, oh, getting inflation under control is the way. No, it's not. That's a daggone lie. Okay, we need deflation as Americans. Okay, and I don't care if that means that we don't buy anything from any other country. Maybe that's what we need to focus on. Making ourselves independent from international manufacturing, international mining, international production of any of the goods that we can produce right here at home. I live in cow country and I look at my meat and it's talking about it's from Brazil. I live in apple country and I look at my apple juice and it's like it's from Guatemala. Are you serious right now? This is what we're doing in America. But the American people voted in Trump to return the focus on the American people. And that means that we need to rein in the government spending. We do not need a debt ceiling increase, especially not if we're not cutting spending. We need to drastically cut spending. Do we need to raise the debt ceiling? If you ask me, absolutely not. But it's going to be hard to make that level of cuts very quickly, and it'll hurt a lot to make that level of cuts quickly to avoid increasing the debt ceiling, even though we should not increase the debt ceiling. Let me be very clear there. We really do need to go at them cuts really hard. And it might be some growing pains there, but it needs to happen because we also need to be growing the what would you call it, private industry, the actual economy, instead of creating all of these government jobs where everybody's part of the government and working for the government because those are the only jobs that are sustainable. It's crazy out here, guys. And I'm sure that many of you guys know that for real. But our elected officials do not want to talk about real things. And when you do see people start to talk about real things, and when you do see Republicans standing up like they did, the 38 that voted down, not this current one, but the previous bill, the smaller bill, you get these crazy people on the internet trying to divide Republicans, conservatives, and people that like Trump. And all three are not mutually exclusive or individual on their own anyway. But they're trying to divide and segment us. Trump is not a king. Trump is the president. Okay, and while I support Trump, it doesn't mean that he is the end all and be all of the House of Representatives. He's the president. Let him go president. I elected him for the president, not the House of Representatives. He needs to go president. He doesn't need to be the Senate. Okay? J.D. Vance kind of is the Senate because he's the president of the Senate because he's vice president, and that's how that works. That's a whole nother conversation about civics on another day. But again, that's how that works. Like, we have to be very cognizant that we need good representation on every single level of government. We can't rely on one person to do everything. That's not how things work. And I want to see an America First agenda be pushed and make it happen. Make it happen, okay? America First, 100%. But not at the cost of our future. Not at the cost of inflation. Okay, continued higher inflation. Okay, deflation is the key. That's the direction that we need to go. Anybody that's telling you otherwise is playing with you and dragging you along. Anybody, and I stand by that and not be willing to go down and argue down anybody that says anything different. Okay, because I need my value of my dollar to increase in buying power. I need a pack of gum to go back to being a quarter again. And some of you guys remember when it was 5 or 10 cents. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember that. I remember it being a quarter though. I don't even know how much a pack of gum is now. 75 cents? It's out of control. I need, when I go to buy eggs, milk, cheese, bread, all of that, I need them prices down. I need the buying power, the spending power of my dollar to increase. And I'm sure all of you feel the same exact way, no matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever. We all want our dollar's value to go further. But it won't if we continue to increase the debt ceiling. It won't if we continue not to have a comprehensive budget. It won't if we continue reckless spending and don't have spending cuts. It won't if we continue to get people that are out here that are saying stuff online that is disconnected from the actual will of the people, saying that one person represents the whole will of the people. That is not always the case. That is not always true. And like I said, I support Donald Trump. Okay? Anybody else got something to say about that? I don't care what you got to say. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care, you know? Especially if you voted for Kamala Harris. Come on, stop playing with me. Okay? Maybe if you wrote in yourself, you'd have some excuse there. We can have that conversation. You voted for her. I'm not trying to hear you say something if I said that I support Trump. Not trying to hear it. Okay? But I'm not going to support every single thing that he does. I'm not going to support every single thing that anybody does. There's a lot of people I like. Like I said, I don't know if you heard my other video, but real quick, let me cover this. Today in the Senate, there was a bill on the floor for the flood program. Okay, as you know, flood insurance is something that's generally not covered by private insurance. So sometimes you can get it, but in a lot of the country you can't get flood insurance. So there's a national flood insurance program. Okay? Senator Kennedy, I love Senator Kennedy. He's fantastic. I repost a lot of his stuff all the time. Senator John Kennedy, I think he's Louisiana. Fantastic. Love that guy. Okay? I'd like him to be in charge of the Senate, but that's another conversation. Him or Rand Paul. But him and Rand Paul got into it over the flood insurance. You know why they got into it over the flood insurance? Because Senator Kennedy said, oh, well, the flood insurance isn't perfect or whatever, and it's been bad for a long time, but it's all we got right now, so we should extend it till September 25th of next year. Well, that doesn't sound like a good plan to me. It sounds like that if there's something wrong with it and it's really that bad, you need to fix that ASAP and then vote on it. Okay? Because clearly it ain't right. And he really wanted people to push for it to be voted on and passed. And Rand Paul got up and he said, no, we can't do that. If it's broke, we need to fix it. Makes sense to me. He said, if it's broke, we need to fix it. And it's been broke for a long time, just like you said, Senator Kennedy. So we need to fix it now before we just kick the can down the line and all of this money is getting wasted. And Senator Massey said, or not Senator Massey, Senator Rand Paul said, he said, do you know how much the flood insurance is in debt to the American people? $20 billion is owed from the flood insurance to the American people. Not to the people that were flooded out, but that's our taxpayer money that they're supposed to reimburse us from the program. Again, those type of things, like insurance works like a like I said before, a sovereign wealth fund. It's supposed to gain interest so it can pay for itself. But they've been manipulating it and misusing it and stuff like that. And he even was pointing out how there was one house that was like rebuilt like 35 times or some crazy nonsense for however many millions of dollars. Ridiculousness. But it shows the crazy expenditure problems. Why are you rebuilding the same houses over and over and over and over again? It makes sense, you know. So he pointed out that they got like 30 billion dollars in money to the American people because of our tax money that we haven't gotten back yet. That's your tax money. That's my tax money. That's everybody's tax money. But again, it goes back to the horrible spending and the horrible lack of efficiency of our government. And here I love Senator Kennedy. Love that man. I think he's awesome. But he's pushing this bill. I'm not with that bill, but I like him a lot. But the bill is a bad bill. The same way I like Trump a lot. But the bill is a bad bill. Now, I'm not going to argue about whether Trump is a good person or not. You take that how you want to. I like Trump as a politician. I like him as a figure for who he is, okay? I don't know him personally. He has never given me no money. But if you want to give me some money, Mr. Trump, please do. I definitely will take it, okay? And if you want to give me a position, I'll take that too, okay? But the fact of the matter is I'm no butt sniffer, okay? My nose is only brown because that's my complexion. Don't get it twisted. If there's something wrong, and I see that there's something wrong that's important to the American people, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to speak up. The same way I always encourage you to stand up and speak up. And with that, I encourage you all, make sure that you reach out to your elected officials. They should know who you are. You should know your House of Representatives person, whoever they call them, congressmen sometimes. You should know who your state senator is for the federal Senate, okay? And they should know who you are. You should be reaching out to them at least once a month, if not once a week. And you should be finding out what's going on in Congress, because their job is to represent you, which means it's their job to tell you what's going on. And I know that they're like, oh, well, they're busy or whatever the case is. It's still your job to hold them accountable and to figure out what's going on. So please, when you see stuff that's happening in Congress that's not right, or that you don't like, or even things that you do support, that you do like, reach out to your congressman or to your senator, because that's important. It's up to us to hold our elected officials accountable, whether it's on the local, state, or federal level. That's what matters. They are our representatives. They represent us, and it's up to us to hold them to task. Nobody else is going to do it. They're not going to self-police. And I'm going to close on this note. Remember what I said about those people that are on the internet trying to divide the Republicans, okay? They want to divide the Republicans and people that support Trump and conservatives and stuff like that, okay? They don't speak for us, okay? They speak for themselves, and they're doing something that's no good, that's not beneficial for our country, that's completely self-serving. Don't trust them. Don't listen to them. They are up to no good. And when you out there copying, pasting, and posting the same thing of everything else, you just like Operation Mockingbird from the CIA, where they were telling the people on the TV exactly what to say. Go look up the video where they got the people on the TV, all of the different newscasts, saying the same thing over and over again. They even had two or three of the news stations in Rochester, where I live, on that thing. I'm laughing, but it's not really funny. It's just ironic. But that's what we're seeing now. They're not us. They don't care. They're out for their own goodies and jollies or whatever, money in their pocket. Don't let them divide us. We need to stand on the foundational principles of republicanism and of our nation. Fiscal responsibility, small government, okay? Listening to the people, and keeping the government out of your business and allowing industry to grow. This is what we need to focus on as Republicans. This is what's not happening right now. We must restore that, not just as Republicans, but as conservatives as well, especially, I should say. And if you're a constitutionalist, you should already know what time it is. Government's too big. They're spending too much, and they're doing way more than they should. So you guys, remember, it's up to us to come together, to unite. Because if you look at the extremities on the left, the far left, and you look at the people on the far right, they're saying the same thing. They say that the right and the left are two wings of the same bird. But let me tell you this, the extremities of it are so far out there that they're touching back together like a circle. That's what's really going on. They're saying the same thing. If you listen really hard, the far left and the far right, they say the same exact thing. They want to empower the government. They want more government control and militarization of policing. They want more surveillance. Okay, they want the government to control means of production and all types of other nonsense. Very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So we need to stand on values, we need to stand on principles, we need to stand on the foundational principles and values of republicanism and our nation, but we also must make sure that on top of that, we stand on the American Constitution and stand 10 toes down on business. I'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. You be blessed and be well.